All right, so get ready because today we are diving deep, deep into the world of Web3. But we're going to do it a little bit differently this time. We're not going to just throw around all those buzzwords. We're actually going to try to understand it. And to help us do that, we've got excerpts today from The Web3 Revolution, a book by Dr. Hui Gong. We'll break down those core concepts to see how this stuff could actually impact your life, and maybe we'll uncover a surprise or two along the way.
Yeah, the goal here is to really equip you with the knowledge to not just navigate the space,
Mm,
but to actually see the potential beyond the hype.
exactly. So, are you ready? To decode the future of finance, to maybe step into the metaverse, and perhaps even own a piece of digital art. Let's dive in. I think the best place to start is with the tech behind it all. Blockchain, right? It's the foundation.
Absolutely. And the story of blockchain really starts with Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Remember that the mysterious white paper back in 2008, signed by the still unknown Satoshi Nakamoto. That was really the spark.
Oh, the whole Satoshi mystery is so fascinating. There are so many theories. I read that one potential Satoshi, a guy named Hal Finney, actually lived in the same town as another person who was suspected to be Nakamoto. It's like a spy movie or something.
It's definitely intriguing, for sure. But what we do know is that that white paper, it laid out a really revolutionary system, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. You see, up until then, digital currencies, they struggled with something called the double spending problem.
Right, right. Like how easy it is to copy and paste a digital file. How did Bitcoin solve that?
Well, Bitcoin solved it with this really ingenious system. It used a decentralized public ledger called the blockchain. Every transaction is recorded on this ledger, and every participant in the network has a copy. Imagine it like a constantly updated global spreadsheet.
So instead of relying on, say, a bank to verify transactions, the blockchain itself, it prevents anyone from spending the same Bitcoin twice.
Precisely. Bitcoin was a huge breakthrough, but it was just the beginning. In 2015, Vitalik Buterin, he envisioned a blockchain that could do so much more than just processing transactions, and that's how we got Ethereum.
Ethereum. This is where things get really interesting, right? It's not just about cryptocurrency. It's a platform for building decentralized applications, or dApps as they call them, using smart contracts.
Exactly. Smart contracts, they're like self-executing agreements. They're written in code. Imagine, those vending machines. But instead of dispensing snacks, it's handling complex financial transactions or even managing digital ownership.
So instead of needing like lawyers or banks, these smart contracts can automatically handle everything once certain conditions are met.
Precisely. And the engine that makes all of this possible is the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM. Think of it as a global, decentralized computer that's executing all these smart contracts.
Okay, so Bitcoin solved the double spending problem. Ethereum expanded on that with smart contracts. But there's this one thing that I keep hearing about, and that's energy consumption. Isn't that a major concern with these technologies?
It was a valid concern, particularly with Bitcoin's proof-of-work system. To validate transactions and add them to the blockchain, miners had to solve complex mathematical problems, which use a lot of energy.
So that's why Bitcoin's energy consumption was so high. But how does Ethereum handle this? What is this proof of stake I keep hearing about?
Well, Ethereum, they addressed this head-on with a really monumental event, actually, called the Merge back in 2022. They transitioned from proof-of-work to proof-of-stake, and they completely changed how the network validates transactions.
Okay, so instead of miners solving these complex problems, what happens with proof of stake?
Instead of miners, you have what are called validators. They stake their cryptocurrency to participate in securing the network. They're essentially putting up collateral to prove their commitment. If they validate correctly, they earn rewards. If they act dishonestly, well, they can lose their stake.
So it's like a system of checks and balances,
Yeah.
but with financial incentives built in. And this uses less energy.
Significantly less. The merge, it reduced Ethereum's energy consumption by an incredible 99.95%. It was really a game changer for the sustainability of the platform.
That's huge. It's like a whole country switching to renewable energy overnight. So Ethereum is now this efficient platform, powered by smart contracts. But how do we, the regular folks, actually use all of this?
That's where wallets come in. They're your key to Web3. Think of them as your passport to this new digital world, allowing you to store, manage, and interact with your cryptocurrencies and other digital assets.
So instead of having a bank account, we'd have a crypto wallet.
It's not quite a direct replacement for traditional banking, but it's a crucial tool for navigating Web3. There are different types of wallets, each with their own features. We have externally owned accounts, or EOAs, like MetaMask and Coinbase Wallet, where you have full control over your private keys.
Right. And with great power comes great responsibility, am I right? You're totally in charge of your security with these wallets. No forgetting passwords or calling customer service for help.
Exactly. Losing your private keys is like losing the key to your safe. Your funds would be gone forever. But don't worry, we'll talk more about wallet security a bit later. There are also what are called contract accounts, which are controlled by, you guessed it, smart contracts.
So instead of me managing the keys, the code does it for me. That sounds both cool and kind of scary.
Yeah, they offer unique features and levels of control. Think of it like a multi-signature wallet, you know, where multiple people need to authorize a transaction, like a joint bank account, but with some extra security measures. Now, before we dive into, this exciting world of DeFi, are you ready for a little adventure? Have you ever heard of crypto faucets?
Crypto faucets, like the things that dispense water. What do those have to do with Web3?
Well, in the Web3 world, faucets dispense something much more valuable than water-free cryptocurrency. They're a great way to experiment with different blockchains without risking any of your own money.
Free crypto. Okay, you've got my attention. How does that work?
Think of them as virtual fountains that drip small amounts of crypto into your wallet. It's especially useful on test networks, which are like blockchain training grounds where developers and users can experiment without real-world financial consequences.
So it's a risk-free way to try things out.
Exactly. One popular test network is Sepolia, which is used for testing Ethereum. It has its own faucets where you can get free test ETH.
Okay, I'm sold. How do I actually use one of these crypto faucets?
It's surprisingly easy. First, you'll need a wallet that supports the Sepolia network, like MetaMask. Then you can find reputable Sepolia faucet websites online. Quick search will do the trick.
So I connect my wallet request, some test ETH, and boom, free crypto to play around with.
You got it. Usually you just paste your wallet address and complete a CAPTCHA. There are usually limits on how much you can request, often a small amount per day.
Makes sense. You don't want people getting rich off test ETH. But sounds like an awesome way to learn the ropes, try out dApps, and get a feel for how transactions work.
Exactly. It's a safe and fun way to explore the potential of Web3. Now, are you ready to take things to the next level and dive into decentralized finance or DeFi?
DeFi, that's where traditional financial services get a Web3 makeover, right? I'm ready.
DeFi is all about reinventing the financial system using blockchain and smart contracts. It's about creating a more open, transparent, and accessible financial world.
So instead of relying on banks and intermediaries, we could use dApp apps to lend, borrow, trade, and invest directly with each other.
You've got it. DeFi cuts out the middlemen and puts you in control.
Yeah.
And it's all built on open source code, so anyone can inspect, verify, and even build upon these financial tools.
That's amazing. But it also seems a little intimidating. Where do we even begin exploring this vast DeFi landscape?
Well, let's start with one of the most popular and revolutionary DeFi applications, decentralized exchanges, or DXs.
DXs, I've heard the term but don't know much about them. Aren't they like cryptocurrency exchanges but without the well exchange?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Traditional centralized exchanges act as intermediaries, matching buyers and sellers. DXs, on the other hand, use a revolutionary mechanism called automated market makers, or AMMs.
AMMs? That sounds interesting. How did they work?
Imagine a pool of tokens, let's say ETH and DAI users who want to earn fees, deposit their tokens into a smart contract, creating this pool.
So instead of an order book with buy and sell orders, we have this pool of tokens managed by code.
Precisely. The AMM uses a mathematical formula to determine the price of the tokens based on the ratio of tokens in the pool.
So if I wanted to swap some ETH for DAI, the AMM automatically figures out the exchange rate based on the current pool ratio.
Exactly. It's all handled by the smart contract, ensuring transparency and eliminating the need for a traditional intermediary. And as a bonus, the people who provide the liquidity earn fees from every trade that happens in the pool.
It sounds like a pretty ingenious system. Everyone wins. But if the price is determined by the pool ratio, wouldn't large trades cause major price swings?
That's a great question, and it highlights one of the key challenges DXs are trying to address. You see, when a large trade happens, it can significantly change the ratio of tokens in the pool, leading to something called slippage.
Slippage? That doesn't sound good.
Essentially, it means you might end up getting a worse price than you expected because your trade shifted. The pool's balance. DXs are constantly being developed and improved to minimize slippage and offer more stable prices.
So there's constant innovation happening in the DeFi space.
Absolutely. DX are at the forefront, pushing the limits of what's possible with decentralized finance. Now, while trading is a big part of DeFi, Let's look at some other financial services. Do you think DeFi can actually replace traditional banking?
It's a bold idea, but what are some examples of DeFi doing traditional banking things?
Well, there are lending platforms like Aave. You can deposit your crypto and earn interest, or borrow crypto by putting up collateral.
So it's like a decentralized bank, but the rules are set by smart contracts and interest rates are determined by supply and demand.
Precisely. And since it's all transparent and open source, you can see exactly how it works, a big difference from the often opaque world of traditional finance.
I like the sound of that. What about stablecoins? They seem to be a big part of the DeFi world.
Stablecoins are essential to DeFi. They're cryptocurrencies designed to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to another asset like the US dollar. This helps mitigate the volatility often seen in the crypto market.
So they're like a bridge between traditional finance and the world of DeFi.
Exactly. They provide a way to hold stable assets within DeFi, making it easier to participate in lending, borrowing, and other activities without worrying about wild price fluctuations.
Stablecoins sound like a good way to get your feet wet in DeFi without the risk of wild swings.
They are. Now, have you heard of MakerDA? It's a fascinating project that combines lending and stablecoins in a unique way.
Maker DAO, it rings a bell. Isn't that the project behind DAI, one of the most popular stablecoins out there?
That's right. DAI is a decentralized stablecoin pegged to the US dollar, but unlike some other stablecoins, it's not backed by actual US dollars held in a bank account.
Wait, so what backs DAI if not US dollars?
This is where it gets really interesting. DAI is backed by other cryptocurrencies that users lock up as collateral.
So it's kind of like taking out a loan, but instead of borrowing US dollars, you're borrowing DAI.
Precisely. You deposit your crypto into a smart contract called a vault and generate DAI against it.
What happens if the value of that crypto you used as collateral suddenly drops?
MakerDAO has a clever mechanism to make sure DAI stays stable. If the value of your collateral falls below a certain point, your vault can be liquidated to prevent losses for the system.
So it's a self-balancing system using over-collateralization and smart contracts to maintain its peg to the US dollar.
Exactly. And it's all governed by MKR token holders who vote on key decisions, ensuring the system's stability and transparency.
It's like a decentralized central bank run by the community.
It truly is. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The world of DeFi is constantly evolving, pushing boundaries in every direction.
Wait, there's more. This is already a lot to take in.
There's always more to explore in DeFi. We have insurance protocols like Nexus Mutual, where you can pool crypto to insure against vulnerabilities in smart contracts.
So it's like a decentralized insurance cooperative where the community shares the risks.
Exactly. We also have prediction markets like Augur and Polymarket. You can actually use them to bet on future events like election results or even who will win the next Grammy Award.
Whoa, DeFi betting markets. That's wild.
It's a fascinating example of how DeFi is disrupting every part of the financial world, offering more efficient, transparent, and accessible solutions.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to understand the revolutionary potential here, but I've also heard that DeFi can be risky. What are some of the challenges and risks involved?
That's a good point. DeFi is still in its early stages, and with any emerging technology, there are risks and challenges.
So what should we be aware of when exploring this exciting but potentially tricky DeFi landscape?
One of the biggest concerns is smart contract vulnerabilities. These contracts are complex pieces of code, and a small error could lead to significant losses.
It's like that saying, code is law in the blockchain world. Any bugs in the code can have real-world financial consequences.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of price volatility. Cryptocurrencies are known for their price swings, which can amplify both gains and losses in DeFi.
So it's not for the faint of heart?
You need a certain level of risk tolerance and a willingness to learn and adapt. And remember, security is your responsibility in the DeFi world guard. Those private keys, they're the keys to your kingdom.
No problem there. But even with the risks, it seems like the potential benefits of DeFi are pretty incredible. It's really changing the face of finance as we know it.
It is. Now, are you ready to switch gears for a bit and explore another fascinating aspect of Web3 NFTs?
NFTs, non-fungible tokens, right? They've taken the world by storm. From digital art to virtual real estate, they're definitely shaking things up.
They are. NFTs are redefining what it means to own and trade digital assets. Unlike cryptocurrencies, which are fungible, meaning one Bitcoin is interchangeable with another, NFTs are one of a kind.
So it's like owning a unique piece of digital art, a virtual collectible, or even a deed to land in the metaverse.
Precisely. And the beauty is that the ownership of an NFT is recorded on the blockchain, creating a permanent, transparent record of its provenance.
So no more worries about forgeries or disputes over ownership. It's all right there on the blockchain for everyone to see.
That's right. This has created so many possibilities. Artists can create and sell their work directly to collectors, and we're seeing innovations in how we think about property rights in the digital realm.
Okay, I'm starting to get the NFT hype, but I have to admit some of the prices I've seen are mind-blowing. It's hard to wrap my head around spending so much on a digital asset.
It's true. The NFT market can be quite speculative, with some pieces fetching astronomical prices. But beyond the hype, there's a fundamental shift happening in how we value and interact with digital assets.
It's not just about owning a JPEG, is it? It's about owning a piece of digital history, a unique item with verifiable ownership and a story behind it.
Exactly. And NFTs are constantly evolving. We're seeing them being used for much more than just art and collectibles. They can represent tickets to events, memberships and online communities, and even virtual identities.
So my digital wallet could eventually hold not just my crypto, but my driver's license, concert tickets, and proof of ownership for my virtual spaceship.
You're catching on quickly. NFTs are revolutionizing how we think about ownership and identity in the digital age.
This is really incredible. It's a whole new world. But how are these NFTs actually created and sold? Is there like an NFT factory somewhere?
No NFT factory, but there's a process involved.
Mm.
It all starts with creating the digital asset itself. That could be an image, a video, a piece of music, or even a line of text.
Right. So you make your digital creation, then what?
You need to upload it to a decentralized storage system like IPFS. This ensures that the asset is stored securely and permanently accessible to anyone with the link.
Got it. So the digital asset is stored safely on IPFS, but how does it actually become an NFT?
Here's where the blockchain comes in. You use a platform or marketplace to mint your digital asset as an NFT. Essentially, you're creating a unique token that represents ownership of that asset.
So minting is like taking your digital creation and turning it into a verifiable, tradable asset on the blockchain.
You got it. And once it's minted, you can list your NFT for sale on various marketplaces like OpenSea or Rarible. There are even specialized platforms for specific types of NFTs.
So the NFT is minted, listed, and ready for a collector to buy it. But how do these marketplaces actually work? Are they like eBay for NFTs?
They're similar in some ways, but with that unique Web3 twist. NFT marketplaces use smart contracts to facilitate the buying and selling process.
So instead of relying on a central authority to handle the transaction, it's all done automatically and securely through smart contracts.
Exactly. When you buy an NFT, the smart contract transfers ownership to your wallet, and the seller receives the payment in cryptocurrency.
That's pretty amazing. But it also seems like the whole NFT world could be a bit of a Wild West. Are there any rules or regulations in place?
That's a great question, and one that is being actively debated and addressed as we speak. The regulatory landscape for NFTs is still evolving, with governments and regulators worldwide trying to figure out how to classify and oversee these novel digital assets.
So it's a bit of a gray area right now. Buyers and sellers need to be extra careful.
It's always wise to do your research, understand the risks involved, and be aware of potential scams. As with any new technology, there are always those looking to take advantage of the hype.
Good point. But this NFT world is so fascinating. It's like a digital renaissance where art, technology, and finance are colliding in new and unexpected ways.
It truly is. NFTs aren't just changing the art world. They're impacting everything from gaming and real estate to how we think about identity in the digital age.
Okay, I'm definitely hooked on the potential of NFTs. But let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. What does the future hold for Web3 and this metaverse thing I keep hearing about?
The metaverse. It's a concept that has captured the imagination of so many people.
What exactly is the metaverse? Is it like a giant virtual reality world where we all hang out, play games, and attend virtual concerts?
That's certainly one vision of it, and platforms like Decentraland and Sandbox are building immersive virtual worlds where you can buy land, build structures, and interact with others.
Wait, you're saying I could own virtual real estate? Like a digital plot of land where I could build a virtual mansion?
Exactly. And these virtual properties are being bought and sold for real money, often using cryptocurrencies and NFTs.
Okay, that's pretty wild. But what's the point of owning virtual real estate? It's not like I can actually live there.
This is where the lines between the physical and digital worlds start to blur. Think of these virtual spaces as platforms for social interaction, entertainment, and even commerce.
So instead of going to a concert in real life, I could attend a virtual concert in the metaverse.
Exactly. And these virtual events can be just as immersive and engaging as their real-world counterparts, with the added benefit of being accessible to anyone with an internet connection.
I see the appeal, but isn't the metaverse just a fancy way of saying video game?
It does build on similar technologies like virtual reality and 3D graphics,
Hmm.
but the metaverse is envisioned as something much grander. A persistent, interconnected network of virtual worlds where you can seamlessly move between experiences, taking your digital identity and assets with you.
So it's like the internet, but in 3D, where I can interact with people, objects, and experiences in a more immersive way.
That's a great way to put it. The metaverse is still in its early stages of development, and many companies and platforms are working on their own versions of what it could become.
This metaverse thing is a lot to take in. It's exciting and a little scary at the same time.
It's definitely a transformative concept that could reshape how we work, play, and interact with each other and the world around us.
Before we go too far down the metaverse rabbit hole, let's bring things back to the real world. How does Web3 impact things like real estate and physical infrastructure?
That's where the idea of tokenized real-world assets, or RWAs, comes in.
Hmm.
Imagine being able to invest in a fraction of a skyscraper or a piece of farmland using blockchain technology.
So instead of needing millions of dollars to invest in real estate, I could buy a token that represents a small piece of a property.
Exactly. And these tokens can be traded on decentralized exchanges, making it easier and more efficient to buy and sell shares of real-world assets.
Okay, that's cool. But how does that actually work in practice? Do they somehow attach a blockchain chip to a building?
No blockchain chips involved. It involves creating a digital representation of the asset on the blockchain, essentially tokenizing it.
So you're creating a digital twin of the property on the blockchain.
Precisely. This digital twin or token can track ownership, manage transactions, and even distribute profits from the asset.
So the blockchain could act like a global registry for real estate, making transactions more secure, transparent, and efficient.
That's the idea, and it's not just real estate. Tokenization can be applied to everything from fine art and collectibles to intellectual property.
That's incredible. This tokenization thing could revolutionize how we think about ownership and investment. What about Web3's impact on physical infrastructure, like transportation energy grids and communication networks?
That's where decentralized physical infrastructure networks, or DePINs, come into play. Imagine using blockchain technology to build more resilient, efficient, and community-owned infrastructure.
Depends. Okay, that's a new one for me.
Think of DePINs as networks that use blockchain and tokenized incentives to build and manage physical infrastructure.
So instead of relying on governments or large corporations to build and maintain infrastructure, we could have communities coming together to do it themselves using the blockchain.
Exactly. A good example is Helium. It's a DePIN that uses blockchain to create a decentralized wireless network, encouraging individuals to host hotspots and earn cryptocurrency rewards.
So it's like a community-owned Wi-Fi network powered by blockchain.
Precisely. DePINs can empower individuals to build and maintain the infrastructure they rely on.
DePINs could be a game changer for everything, from renewable energy grids to decentralized transportation systems. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of blockchain to DeFi NFTs and the metaverse. My brain is full.
It's been quite a journey. We've explored the foundations of Web3 and looked into a future where these technologies are changing everything from finance to art to the internet itself.
It's clear Web3 is still in its early stages, but it's already having a huge impact.
And as with any emerging technology, there are challenges to overcome and risks to manage.
We've talked about the importance of security, the volatility of crypto prices, and the potential for scams.
But despite the risk, the potential benefits of Web3 are undeniable. It has the power to create a more open, transparent, and equitable world, empowering people in ways we never thought possible.
It's an exciting time to be witnessing the birth of this new technological era. It really does feel like we're on the edge of something huge here. But as we step into this uncharted territory, one big question comes to mind: regulation. How does all this innovation coexist with, the rules and regulations that kind of govern our world?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? Governments and regulators around the world, they're wrestling with that right now. The challenge is finding that balance, that sweet spot that allows innovation to flourish while still protecting people.
It sounds like walking a tightrope. What are some of the biggest regulatory challenges facing Web3 right now?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is simply classifying cryptocurrencies. I mean, are they securities? Are they commodities, currencies, or something else entirely? You see, the answer, it has huge implications for how they are regulated and taxed.
Right, right. Because different financial instruments have different rules. It seems like the existing frameworks that don't quite fit these new decentralized assets.
Exactly. And then there's the whole concept of decentralized exchanges, the DEXs. They operate without central authorities, which makes them very difficult for regulators to oversee.
So how do you regulate a system designed to be, well, unregulated?
Yeah, it's a tough question. Some regulators they're exploring the idea of what they call regulated decentralization, where they would set guidelines and standards for DeFi protocols, but without stifling innovation.
So it's like creating a set of rules for the game, but not dictating every single move.
Right, right. And then there's the important question of consumer protection, of course. How do we safeguard people from, scams and fraud in this new landscape?
Especially because in this decentralized world, there's no central authority to turn to if something goes wrong. Individuals, they need to be extra vigilant about their own security.
Absolutely. Education and awareness are really crucial. We also need to develop, really strong security measures and ways to resolve disputes within the Web3 ecosystem.
So this isn't just a job for regulators. It's going to take collaboration between developers and policymakers and the whole Web3 community, really.
You got it. The future of Web3, it depends on finding that sustainable path. That balances innovation with responsibility.
Speaking of navigating this space, there's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin ETFs. What's the big deal with those, and how do they fit into the regulatory picture?
Bitcoin ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, they're an interesting development. They allow investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without directly owning the asset itself.
So it's like buying shares of a company that holds Bitcoin, making it easier for, traditional investors to kind of dip their toes into the crypto market.
Exactly. And the approval of Bitcoin ETFs by, regulators like the SEC, it's a significant step towards mainstream adoption and legitimacy for cryptocurrencies.
It's a big sign that the financial world, it's taking crypto seriously.
For sure. It could open the door for more crypto-related ETFs and investment products down the road.
That's really interesting, but let's not forget about all the other incredible innovation that's happening in Web3. We've talked about DeFi and NFTs, but what else is on the horizon? What are you excited about?
Well, one area I find really fascinating is where Web3 meets artificial intelligence, or AI. Imagine a world where decentralized AI algorithms, they can analyze huge amounts of data, make predictions, even automate tasks, all with the transparency and security of the blockchain.
No, that sounds like science fiction.
Like,
Would we have AI robots running around on the blockchain?
Not quite robots, but the possibilities, they really are pretty amazing. Imagine AI-powered dApps that offer personalized financial advice or streamline supply chains, or even help diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy.
So we could combine the power of AI with the trust and transparency of blockchain, creating this new generation of intelligent and secure application.
Precisely. And this fusion of AI and Web3, it has the potential to revolutionize almost every industry, from healthcare and education to finance and even government.
It seems like Web3 isn't just a technological revolution. It's a societal shift that will touch every aspect of our lives.
I think you're right. It's a time of great opportunity and challenge as we explore this new frontier and shape the future of the decentralized web.
As we've learned today, Web3, it's not just about the technology itself. It's about empowering individuals, driving innovation, and building a more equitable world.
Well said. It's a journey filled with potential risks and the chance to really redefine our digital society.
This has been an amazing deep dive into Web3, so much to think about. I have one last question for our listeners. What role will you play in building this decentralized future?
The future is being built right now, and we all have a part to play in making sure it's a future we can be proud of.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the exciting world of Web3. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries.